one thing that the Bardo teaching does is to help us to see, and this is extremely important, that help us to see that the death as a part of a never-ending process. Normally, we perceive death as the end. Bardo make us to see and to understand that death is not the end, but is just a part of a never-ending process of evolution of our consciousness. Okay? Um, Now, the other a very extremely important things of the teaching of the Bardo is that it doesn't apply only to death, but all the teaching in the Bardo naturally, of course, apply to the process of death and to the experience that follow, but they totally apply as well to life and to the process of life. Because I would like to talk a little bit about the Bardo. So, as most of you know, in about 1 month, beginning of November, we are going to have online, because this is the only thing possible right now, at least internationally. We are going to have a Bardo retreat. Now, I guess most of the people know about the Bardo, or at least heard something or hear the word. Bardo is a Tibetan word which literally means in between. Okay, and generally, commonly, it refers to the times and to experiences that the consciousness goes through from the moment of death until the next rebirth. But actually, there are 6 Bardo, and Bardo, as I say, the meaning of Bardo is in between. So is everything that is between a certain state and another state. So we have the Bardo of life, the Bardo of meditation, the Bardo of sleep, and then we have the Bardo of death, the Bardo of reality, and the Bardo of becoming. So when we talk about the Bardo, normally we are talking about these last 3. So the Bardo of death refers to the moment of death, or more precisely to say, is from any causes that is going to be, any happening that is going to be the causes of death. A sickness, a accident, or whatever is leading us to the death. And the Bardo of Death refers precisely to the moment when the life, the consciousness, leave the body. So this is the Bardo of Death. Then the Bardo of reality, also called the Bardo of Dharmata, refers to the experiences of the consciousness immediately after the moment of death, where we have a manifestation of the primordial luminosity, of the ground luminosity, it is called in different name. Then we have the manifestation of the nature of mind in its radiance that appear in its nakedness, form of sound, lights, and color. And then we have the Bardo of rebirth, where the consciousness return in the form of a mental body and is clinging to the experiences of the Bardo as real and solid. And this is what lead us unavoidable to the next life, the next rebirth. One thing that the Bardo teaching does is to help us to see, and this is extremely important, that help us to see that the death as a part of a never-ending process. Normally, we perceive death as the end. Bardo make us to see and to understand that death is not the end, but is just a part of a never-ending process of evolution of our consciousness. Okay? Now, the other, a very extremely important things of the teaching of the Bardo is that it doesn't apply only to death, but all the teaching in the Bardo naturally, of course, apply to the process of death and to the experience that follow, but they totally apply as well to life and to the process of life. Now, what I just said, for example, no? What I said just before, when we die, we have the first, the dissolution of the elements. Then we have the apparition for a short moment of the ground luminosity or primordial luminosity. Then we have the display of the nature of the mind in its radiance, in its naked form of sound, light, and color, and then the consciousness return as a mental body and cling to the Bardo experiences as solid and real. Now, this is not happening only in the Bardo when we die. This is happening every moment of this life. This is as well the same gradual manifestation of the mind. We have an essence, we have a light energy, and then we have a crystallization in a form. Or we can say we have the primordial awareness, then the spontaneous radiance, and then we have the manifestation. But this is precisely the unfolding every moment, this moment of our mind, of our thoughts, of our emotion, at every level of experiencing. Okay? So normally we perceive only the last stage, the manifestation, the crystallization into form. We only know that, what is called the Nirmanakaya. And we are not aware of the other two stages, the manifestation in spontaneous radiance, the energy, the light, which correspond to the Sambhogakaya, and the very essence, the Dharmakaya, the emptiness. Okay? So meditating and preparing, and the fundamental teaching of the Bardo is to make us aware of these other two stages, the stage of the pure essence, the emptiness, and the stage of the radiance, from where the manifestation, the crystallization happen. Now, the difference between life and death is that in the Bardo, this process, because we are not hooked in a solid body, it is magnified, it is amplified many times. So we are confronted with the bare, naked reality of existence. So all the various manifestation, deity, peaceful deity, wrathful deities, and so on, they are nothing else that the manifestation of this dynamic of the energy, of which we are not aware when we are alive in the Bardo. So this is the only difference. They are extremely intense and very, very strong, hence the greater opportunity for liberation. Because not having a body to be identified with, we are confronted with the essential dynamic of the functioning of our mind. This is the same process that happens when we go to sleep. When we go to sleep, we go through all these different bardo. When we this is the same process which is arising with the arising of the thoughts, with the arising of the emotion. Okay, so in the Bardo, all this, it is just extremely amplified. And if we are not familiar with it, that's why the importance to be prepared for it, then we will be, of course, frightened, scared. We will give reality to something which is only a projection of our mind. We will give solidity with something which are only a play of shadow and light of our energy, and we will be caught again in the samsara. And that's how we are going to be rebirthed, because we give reality to something which is not real. We think something impermanent to be permanent. We think something which have no solidity to be solid. So this is the great teaching of the Bardo. And of course, it applies in our life too. So the Bardo is not only, the teaching of the Bardo is not only a preparation for the death and all the experiences that our consciousness will go through. It is an incredible, profound, deep teaching for now, for this moment, how we get continuously hooked into the play of the mind, and how we get continuously identified. So this, in short, is the great, immense value of the teaching of the Bardo. Of course, there are many specific things about the process, the inner process of dissolution, and various experience of the energy, of the consciousness, and so on. But this is the background of all this teaching. So it is an immense contribute not only to prepare for our death, for helping our beloved in the event of death and assist them and help them to go through that most important experience, but it also gives us back incredible deep insight into the now, into our mind is working and functioning now. Okay? So, and I want to also make it clear that this Bardo retreat will be really about the Bardo. Okay? There are a few approach, they talk about the Bardo, but not much is happening about the Bardo. They talk about other stuff, let's say. And then maybe there is a little bit very superficial approach to the, let's say, really the Bardo process. In this retreat, we really go through the whole Bardo experience, through the whole Bardo teaching, and all its different stage. The moment of death, the Bardo of reality, and all the projection and hallucination and vision that come, and the process of rebirth, and how either to get liberation through the awareness in the different stages of the Bardo, or at least how to have a better rebirth, and how to choose the womb for a favorable and very, let's say, positive rebirth, which simply means the possibility to keep going on steadily on the path of meditation. So this is what is going to be the upcoming Bardo retreat. Okay? And if you have intention to participate, please contact the organizer, and you will be also suggested about 3 books to read before the retreat start. Now, I know that to read these three books will be impossible in 1 month. Two of them are big, thick book and not so easy. The third is small but very difficult, but they are a great preparation. So you should get those three books, read whatever you can, and I will advise which one read first. At least give you a little bit background, and also they will be helpful during the process, during the retreat. To go and as to reference and to deepen certain process and certain understanding that, of course, in the limited time that unavoidable we can have in the session of the retreat, we cannot go so into much detail sometimes. So, but if you have these three essential texts, that would be very helpful. So if you have intention, let us know, and we will tell you which book you should get, and you can have at least a certain background, a certain ground for entering into this very important and essential teaching, the Bardo Thodol. Okay? Thank you.